What's up, a cinemashogun here, and I don't want to waste any time, so go ahead and hit that like button, and let's just dive right in. So we've been talking about this story where these three Kansas City Chiefs fans were found frozen to death in their friend's backyard. Now, as the days go by, as the hours go by, this story keeps getting a tad bit crazier and crazier because the story keeps changing. Don't get me wrong. The story isn't drastically changing, but small details keep getting tweaked. You see the homeowner, where these three dudes were found in his backyard. The homeowner has a lawyer who has been speaking to several news outlets, and in my opinion, every time this guy talks, he makes his client look even more guilty. He's having the exact opposite effect on this situation as opposed to the effect that he wants to have. He's making his client look bad. He's changed the story multiple times. And as you all know, when you're looking into a case like this one, when the story starts changing, that's basically a huge red flag. That's an indicator that the real truth is not being told, because the truth doesn't change. Yet this story has changed multiple times. And the families of the three men who were found dead, they've been doing everything they can to try to get this story out there. This happened their bodies were found on January 9th, but they all gathered together to watch the Chiefs game on January 7th. So this has been going on for a while now. But the family is now speaking out again. And boy, oh boy, they are not holding any punches at all. They're coming in hot. In fact, they're saying some things that a lot of us don't want to say, but we're all thinking. You know, I try to be careful. I don't want to come on my platform and blame people for things that they may have not done, but we've all been looking at the story like it's kind of crazy. And it's been crazy since day one, but I've tried my hardest to give this homeowner and to just give this entire situation the benefit of the doubt. But when the story keeps changing, I have no choice but to think that something fishy is going on. And like I said, this family, or the families, they're coming in hot. They're coming in swinging. They're coming in basically accusing the homeowner of like drugging or like poisoning these people. I mean, it's pretty wild. And the homeowner is actually like, I got to be careful with how I word this because certain words you can't say on YouTube, but he's like a scientist that works on vaccines, you know, the jab, stuff like that. We're going to make a separate video about that here in the coming hours. But as of right now, I want to dive into what this family is saying, because like I said, they're just putting it all out there. No F's given, and I understand. I understand why. But let's go ahead and dive into this article. Friends and family members of three Kansas City Chiefs fans found dead in the snow 2 days after a game day gathering doubt police assertions that no foul play is suspected, with one family retaining an attorney to compel a more thorough investigation. Paserno, the lawyer for the homeowner, says that his client allowed police to search his home without a warrant or an attorney present. Ross Nigro, an attorney representing Johnson's family, one of the victims, said police carried out a second, more thorough investigation 2 days later. Jordan Willis, the homeowner, has since moved out of his home in fear of retaliation. He has also taken a leave of absence from his job as a data scientist at a nonprofit that develops vaccines for infectious diseases. There's no allegation of any animosity between Jordan and his three friends, says Paserno. People want to speculate, but it's not like anyone ever called the police saying, hey, we're afraid of this Jordan guy. Paserno says that 2 of the 3 men had been friends with Willis since high school, and that the third was a close friend for about 4 years. They went to watch the Chiefs game together. Jordan had bought 4 tickets to the Chiefs game the following Sunday so they could go together. I understand that people are hurting, but that's no excuse to throw baseless accusations at Jordan, says his lawyer. But Norma Chester, Johnson's mother, suspects that Willis played an active role in her son's death. Seriously, these were responsible men. How do they go in a backyard and freeze to death? All 3 of them, she says. Something that comes to mind? This guy wants to brag about how smart he is. He's a scientist. My thoughts are that he concocted something and he gave it to all 3 of them. I know I'm just thinking, but how could this have happened? Johnson's father said that a police presence had already amassed when his family members pulled up to Willis's house on January 9th. They told us to wait for 4 hours, and then they would tell us what they found, says Johnson Sr. We waited all night and they never called. We had to call them the next day and they still wouldn't give us any information. So I called an attorney. He may have done some drugs in the past, but I do not believe that all 3 men did drugs and fell over dead in that backyard, Johnson Sr. says of his son and friends. I'm not going to say that during a game he didn't have a few drinks, but he wasn't irresponsible. He wasn't so irresponsible that he was going to go outside and just freeze to death. You're talking about 3 grown men. If he was out there just freezing, like they said, he could have kicked out a window to get into the house, the father continued. Johnson Sr. also said that his son's coat was inside the house and that he would never have gone outside without a coat. I believe that he drugged them and then he dragged them outside and waited 2 days to call the police, Johnson Sr. says. That's ridiculous, says Paserno, the homeowner's lawyer. He's a scientist, and somehow he's to blame? That's an opinion not based in fact. Friends of the 3 men and Johnson Sr.'s attorney, Nigro, wonder how Jordan Willis could have avoided going outside for 2 days. Paserno attributes the fact that he worked from home. Nigro said that 3 other guests, let's say that again. Nigro said that 3 other guests were at Jordan Willis's house on the night of the Chiefs game. They said their host's 2 dogs were present. If you have a dog and there's 3 deceased people at the house, they would alert you to the bodies, Nigro says. Nigro also said that Paserno's retelling of events to the press has changed over the course of several interviews. Initially, he said that Jordan was by himself. Now there was a 5th magical person who was at the house, Nigro said. The fact that the story has changed significantly makes it seem unbelievable and not trustworthy whatsoever. In addition to Mr. Willis leaving the residence and hiring a criminal defense attorney, those are all signs of someone who is hiding something. Bombshells, ladies and gentlemen, bombshells. We got a few bombshells in that article. Not only is the family just coming out swinging. Like Mike Tyson, like Rocky Balboa. They're coming out just straight up, hey, I think he concocted something and gave it to him. Then the father's like he drugged them and then dragged their bodies outside. And I'm just sitting here sipping on my coconut water like, I didn't want to say it, but I don't know. I don't know. I didn't want to say it. You know, I got to be careful with what I say on this platform, but so I don't know. We don't know what happened here. But one thing we do know, now we know there were other people there, at least 3 other people there that day. Now we heard of the 5th person, right? So maybe that's one of them, but now there's potentially 2 other people. Who are these other people? We don't know. When they left, when they came, we don't know. There's so many missing pieces to this puzzle, and I'm still stuck here wondering why this happened on January 7th. But here we are weeks later, and now we're just finding out of a 5th person, and now a 6th and a 7th. So there's a lot more pieces at play. There's more pieces on this chessboard than we thought they were, or we thought there was. And from him saying things like, the father saying things like, oh, his coat was still in the house, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. But one thing that sticks out to me as well is that Jordan Willis and his attorney, they've been saying that his dogs weren't at home. They've been saying that his dogs were at his dad's house. Because one of the things that people brought up was that, oh, this guy has 2 dogs, he has pets, so naturally he's going to let them outside to use the bathroom. And if you let them outside to use the bathroom, you're going to see your friend dead on your back porch. And your other friends are dead in your backyard. Your dogs would probably alert you to the fact that you got bodies laying in your backyard, or you would see them yourself. But the excuse has been, oh, the dogs weren't there. But now the attorney for one of the victims, he's saying, oh, the other 2 guys that were there, these other 2 mystery men that we didn't know about until this article, guess what? They've already spoken out. They've already came forward and said that the dogs were there. So even though that's something minor, dogs were there, dogs weren't there, some people may think, who gives a shit, right? That's a big deal, because that's another lie that was told. And if you're telling the truth, there's no reason to surround the truth with all of these little lies, right? Because it went from, oh, I went to sleep and everyone was still there, to, oh, I walked everyone to the door, to my dogs were at my dad's, to, oh, wait, my dogs were actually here. These are details that you would know. Now, I don't know if law enforcement got to that house and the dogs weren't there. Maybe that's because he already took the dogs away. But that's another detail that has changed. Initially, in the earlier days of this story, it was reported that Jordan had left the house multiple times over the span of those couple of days as his friends were dead in the backyard. But the lawyer changed the story again recently and claims that, oh, Jordan never left. That when he said Jordan left, he meant that Jordan left his bedroom, not the house. Now that sounds really stupid, right? But that's what the lawyer has put out there. And I know that the sole purpose, the reason the lawyer is doing these interviews is to save face. It's to make his client look better, because when you have a situation like this, you also have to deal with the court of public opinion, right? And the lawyer's trying to get out there and do good PR for Jordan Willis. He's trying to clear Jordan Willis's name. But in the process, he is making this dude look so guilty. Early on, I literally went from having, giving the benefit of the doubt to this entire situation to now I'm like, yeah, this definitely something's going on here. And it's all because of the lawyer. I think it would have been better off, Jordan would have been better off if nothing was ever said, if this lawyer never did a single interview. Because saying nothing in many ways is better than coming out and changing the story 4 or 5 times within the span of a week or two. Because then people are never going to trust it. Never going to trust you. They're never going to believe this story. And why should they? Because if we believed the first excuse, if we believed the first story that they told us, how could we believe the second story? How could we believe the third story? You know what I mean? So even if we were to believe them, at the same time, we would have to not believe their original story. If it's complicated, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, in order to believe the story they're telling now, we have to first no longer believe the initial story that they gave us. So at the end of the day, it's like, how can we trust someone like that? How can we trust this lawyer and Jordan in this situation when the story's already been misconstrued and changed all up? You're asking us to not believe what you originally told us and to believe the new story that you're telling us now. So, like, at this point, everyone, I don't think there's anyone left that doesn't find this situation totally fishy. The family's speaking out about it. I'm making videos. Other people are making videos about it. You guys are speaking out about it. And even the family's lawyer. It's not like he came in and he played the situation cool. He's coming right out and shooting down some of these excuses. And he's calling this stuff out as well. So who knows where this situation goes? We now know that there were more people there. Supposedly the dogs were there. There's a lot of details for us to think about. I'm going to make more videos about this. There's other details out there that I want to talk about. I want to talk more about Jordan as well, but we'll get to that in a future video. For now, I want to know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. If you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via Cash App. I'll have my Cash App in the pinned comment. Or you can donate via Super Thanks, or for free, you can help the channel by liking the video, subscribing, ringing the notification bell, and all of that other good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.